Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you're tuning into this webinar, then I can assume that your website isn't performing as well as you would like it to. Well, the good news is that you've come to the right place because over the next hour or so, I'm going to show you how you can double the number of leads that your website generates. So as I said, today's session, it's going to last about an hour. It'll be a mix of some theory and some practical. You'll also notice that there is a questions box on the right hand side of your screen. So if you have any questions as we progress through the session, just put them in there. They all get emailed to me directly. So if I can't answer your question during the session, then I will definitely be able to answer it afterwards via email. I should also say that this webinar is being recorded. So if you can't stick around until the end, do not worry. I'll be sending an email tomorrow with a link to the recording. I've also prepared some exclusive bonuses, basically just to thank you guys for saving me from the embarrassment of an empty room, really. My biggest fear when organising these webinars is that no one shows up. So the fact that you're all already here, that means we're off to a good start, so I'm happy. I'll be telling you all about the bonuses at the end of the session, so be sure to stick around to hear what they are then. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of the webinar, I wanted to tell you just a little bit about myself, just so you don't think I'm some sort of bodiless voice speaking to you from across the internet. My name is Kevin McGrath. I'm one of the co-founders and I'm the CEO of Beacon. So we're based in the north of Ireland. So if you were wondering about the accent, hopefully that clears things up. I studied design at university, interactive design. And after that, I spent about 6 years running a web design agency here in Belfast, in Ireland. But about 5 years ago or so, about 5 years ago, we had the idea for Beacon. So we gradually transitioned the business away from client services, and we're now working 100% on Beacon. So my background might be in design, but most of my time these days is spent on marketing and growth. Actually, some of the strategies that I'm going to share with you today, those are the same strategies that have helped us to grow Beacon to more than 27,000 users in those 5 years. So I'm definitely excited about today. I'm really excited to share those techniques that were successful for us with you guys. So let's get on with it. Today, we're talking essentially about lead generation, but I don't want you to focus too much on any of these technical terms like lead generation or opt-in forms or lead magnets. Instead, we're going to try to simplify things because when it comes down to it, marketing is quite simple. Basically, there are billions of people out there and some of them have the potential to be our customers. Now, at the moment, these potential customers are just strangers. We don't know them and they don't know us. So marketing's job really is just the process of turning strangers into best friends, like these guys. Now, obviously, best friends in the marketing sense means paying customers, but the process is the same. We want to help people to get to know us, to trust us, and eventually to buy from us. So the kid version of that is obviously dressing up in superhero costumes and playing together, which sounds like a lot more fun. But in the marketing world, it's a bit more boring. It looks a bit more like this. It's a standard sort of funnel. So as boring as this funnel is, it does make sense. We're trying to turn strangers into prospects, turn prospects into leads, and leads into customers. And if you're using a website for your business, which I presume you are in this day and age, that funnel typically looks like this. So we want to get people from search engines to our website. When they land on our website, we want to get their email address. And once we have their email address, we can begin nurturing them so that eventually they become customers. Now, the step in this funnel that I think is the most underrated is this one. So convincing casual visitors that land on your website to give you their email address. So when you get an email address from a prospective customer, it means that you're in control. You're not relying on them to come back to your website, but instead you can initiate contact with them. So research shows that it takes about between 6 and 8 touches for a prospect to become a qualified lead. Now, if you don't get that email address, then you're relying on people to return to your website, 7 more times. That's a chance that most marketers just don't want to take. And thankfully, that step between visitor and lead is the easiest to influence. So let me show you why that is. Let's say that you have 100 people visit your website and say 10% of them give you their email address. You'll end up with 10 leads. That makes sense, right? But let's say that you want to, say, double the number of leads that your business generates. And most people's instinct when they want to do that is to get more traffic, to fill up the top of the funnel. So let's see how that works. Like if we spend some more money on, say, advertising, or we maybe pay someone for search engine optimization, we might be able to double the amount of visitors to our site. So if we keep converting 10% of those people, we're going to end up with 20 leads. And that works, right? So the more traffic you attract, the more leads you'll end up with. That makes sense. But the problem with this strategy is that it can take a long time. It can be expensive. And to be honest, a lot of it is out of your control. So if Google, for example, were to change their search algorithm, or if Facebook changed their timeline algorithm, that can have a big impact on the traffic to your website. And there's not a lot you can do about it. This happened recently when Facebook made some changes. I think a lot of big brands saw their traffic plummet, and they were scrambling around trying to find ways to make up for it. A lot of it was out of their hands. So to avoid this, instead, what I would recommend doing is focusing on the conversion rate, because what happens on your website is 100% in your control. So the results are the same. So say if we were to attract, say, 100 visitors to our website, but we're converting them at a 20% rate, then the results are the same. We get 20 leads, but because we're entirely in control of what happens on our website, that conversion rate, to double that, that's a change that we can make much more quickly. So again, just to reiterate, it's not that wanting more traffic is a bad thing. Like most people do want more traffic to their website. It's just that if you're optimizing for traffic before you start optimizing for conversions, then you may as well be pouring water into a leaky bucket. So I think that the most efficient way of generating more leads for your business is to make sure that your site is watertight. So to make sure that casual visitors to your website are given the opportunity to share their email address with you, then you can start thinking about generating more traffic. And when you combine the two together, a good conversion rate with a lot of traffic, then your business will really start taking off in terms of leads generated. But it's easier said than done, right? Like, how do we actually do it? How do we increase conversion rates so that we can turn more visitors into leads? Like, how do we get more email addresses from prospects? Well, the simplest answer is to just ask for a visitor's email address, right? So whenever someone comes to your website, just hit them with a big pop-up and ask for their email, right? Well, you can probably guess what most people's reaction to a pop-up like this would be. Ugh. Because people absolutely hate that. Why would they give you their email address in that situation? They've just landed on your website. They don't know you. They don't trust you. And you're already asking them for something. So I would guess that most people who see this pop-up just close it without thinking twice. And they close this pop-up because there's no real incentive for them to share their email address. Why would they? What's in it for them? There's no obvious benefit to joining this mailing list. So how do we change that? How do we give people an incentive? How do we give people something of value, for example, in exchange for their email address? The answer is lead magnets. Now, again, I don't want you to focus too much on jargon like lead magnets. Just forget about that phrase. Whenever I say the phrase lead magnets, I just want you to think that we're offering people something of value in exchange for their email address. But how do we define something of value? It's a pretty broad term. Do we give them money? Do we just give people money in exchange for their email address? No, definitely don't do that. That's going to get pretty expensive very quickly. So we have to come up with something else. And that's something else, in my opinion. The best way to give people something of value without spending money is to help them with a problem that they are currently experiencing. So if someone is having difficulty with something and all they have to do is hand over their email address to get a solution to that problem, like most people are going to do that without thinking twice. So I know that like solving a problem, it's a bit abstract. So I've prepared some examples. We're going to take a look at a few examples of lead magnets that have solved problems for people. So the first example here is a resource guide. Now, a resource guide is just a collection of things that people can buy to improve their situation. So the screenshot on the right-hand side is the resource guide, and it basically is just a list of tools that people can buy along with a short description about that tool. So this particular lead magnet is titled The New Facebook Marketer's Resource Guide. So the problem that the reader might be experiencing is our Facebook marketing strategy isn't performing very well. So this lead magnet helps them solve that problem. And it works really because people love to buy tools that solve a problem because it's a bit of a shortcut really. And that's why resource guides are so popular as a lead magnet. Like if I can buy something that solves a problem and saves me a bit of time, then you can be sure I'm going to do that. The next example here is a checklist lead magnet. And a checklist is basically just a series of actionable tasks that people can complete to achieve a goal. So this example in particular is a blog post creation checklist. This is one that we used on our blog. And this solves a problem for people who might be new to blogging and they have no idea what they should be doing. So this checklist basically leads them through that process and they can tick off items as they complete them. Again, it's a really easy lead magnet to create, but because it has that, that interactive element, that physical task of checking items off, people feel like you're really helping them. So it's a lead magnet that people enjoy using. The next example is an ebook, which I'm sure you're all familiar with. The ebook, it's a lead magnet that takes a bit more time to create, but for the reader, it can be totally worth it. So this example is the complete guide to email marketing, and it's perfect for people who might be a little bit scared of email marketing because it's such a big topic. Where do you even start? So the team at ConvertKit knew that this was a problem that their potential customers were experiencing. So they put together this ebook so that people could get all the information they need in one place. So they don't have to read, 50 different articles on 50 different websites. Instead, they can download one PDF, they can keep it, and they can refer back to it whenever they need to. So from their point of view, problem solved. The last example that I'm going to show you is one of my favorites. It's called a lookbook, and it's basically just a collection of visual assets, so it could be images or videos that are all based around the same topic. So in this example, the creator has compiled 37 screenshots of beautifully designed Christmas emails. Now you're probably thinking, who wants 37 designs of Christmas emails? But the problem that they're solving for their audience is probably web designers. So this type of lead magnet is perfect for designers who might be on a tight deadline and are perhaps struggling for inspiration. So that's the problem they're experiencing, and the lead magnet solves that. So the main value of this particular lead magnet is convenience, really. So it's a bit like the ebook example. The lookbook saves the reader from having to search the web for lots of different images. It's valuable because it saves so much time for the reader. And also because the content has been curated by someone else, you can be sure that it's of high quality. So that's why people, they won't think twice about sharing their email address to get a resource like this. So that was a really quick look at just 4 examples of different lead magnets. But you'll probably have noticed that they all have certain things in common. And it's these commonalities are what separates like a good lead magnet from a bad lead magnet. So you'll notice that each of these examples were valuable. Like they all solved actual problems that a reader was experiencing. Not only that, but they solve the problem that the reader was experiencing at that current time, not 6 months from now, but a pain point that's been experienced at this time, and there's a solution ready made for it. As well as that, the lead magnets were all well designed. Now, this is really important because if a lead magnet is supposed to be valuable, it should feel valuable. It should feel like some time and effort and energy has gone into the creation of this lead magnet. On top of that, the content in each of these was, really high quality, and that helps to build the author's credibility, which is, of primary importance if you're nurturing readers to eventually become customers. And the last reason is that all of the lead magnets that we saw had the potential to lead on to future interactions. So if you take the ebook, for example, like once someone learns about email marketing, they're going to need some software to put that into practice. So who do they look to for that software? They're going to go straight to ConvertKit, the people that wrote the book on it. Like they've built that trust up with this high quality content. So that lead magnet has eventually led on to a paid product or a paid service. So I just want to do a bit of a recap before we go on too much further. So far we've learned about the importance of focusing on conversion rates instead of traffic. We've learned that lead magnets are the best way to improve conversion rates. And we now know what a good lead magnet looks like. So next, I want to show you some real world examples of lead magnets in action so you can see how the whole strategy comes together. So this is Amy Porterfield's website. Amy teaches people how to run profitable online courses. And it's a fairly straightforward, standard website. So at the top, there's this introduction with a big photo of Amy. But right below that, you can see that Amy invites you to download one of her cheat sheets. So these cheat sheets these are the lead magnets, and each one of these solves a different problem that her visitors might be experiencing. So the first cheat sheet on the left-hand side there, that teaches people how to grow their email list. The second cheat sheet, the one in the middle, that shows people how to create more profitable courses. And the last one, that helps people to choose the perfect webinar topic. Now, Amy knows that the visitors to her website are most likely struggling with one of these three problems. So she provides valuable information in the form of a lead magnet that can help them to solve this problem. So when you click on one of those boxes, a pop-up like this one will appear. And since Amy's offering the reader, something valuable that solves a specific problem, people won't think twice about filling out this form. And once they do fill out the form, they get sent an email which contains a beautifully designed lead magnet that looks like this. So Amy's lead magnets all work because they're valuable, they solve an immediate problem for the reader, they're well designed, they build Amy's credibility, and they all are in some way related to Amy's premium products. So they're nurturing people for that eventual sale down the line. Let's take a look at this other example. So this is a screenshot from a website called Backlinko. Now Backlinko, it's run by a guy called Brian Dean, and Brian teaches people how to improve their search engine optimization. So this particular screenshot is taken directly from one of Brian's blog posts. So this isn't on his homepage like Amy's example. This is an actual blog post in his blog archives. So if you'll notice that right after the introduction, there's this yellow box, and the text in this box, it reads, "Free bonus. Click here to get access to a free PDF checklist that shows you how to execute all 17 of the techniques from this post. The checklist also includes 2 bonus strategies." Now the PDF checklist that Brian mentions, that's the lead magnet. And what Brian has done differently from Amy is that he's made this lead magnet to accompany this specific blog post. So if you take this lead magnet and say put it on Brian's homepage, it's not really going to make sense out of context. But when it's placed within this blog post, Brian is able to offer a really specific solution to the problems explored in the actual post. So the post is all about copywriting techniques for SEO, and the post, it's largely theoretical itself. It explains the theory behind effective SEO copywriting. But the checklist that Brian offers with this article, that helps people to implement the theory for their own business. And that's why it's so effective. The download is really actionable. People can get that checklist and use it right away to improve their situation. So when someone clicks the yellow box, they get this pop-up. And when they enter their email address, they get sent a copy of this, beautifully designed PDF. So Brian ticks all the boxes there. Like his lead magnet is useful, it solves an immediate problem, it's well designed, it builds his credibility as well. But you know what the most important thing about Brian's lead magnet was? Like, it works. When Brian added this lead magnet to that blog post, he generated 8 times more leads. Just let that sink in for a second. Like, at the start of the session, I spoke about doubling the number of leads from your site, but bigger results are definitely possible. Like, I've heard of other businesses that have seen like a 16 times increase in the number of their leads. So I don't know, if that doesn't convince you that lead magnets are a great way to grow your business, then I don't know what will. So the question that I always get asked around this time is like, how many lead magnets do I actually need? Like, we saw that Brian creates a unique lead magnet for each individual blog post. We saw that Amy had 3 lead magnets on her homepage alone. So how many do you need? Well, the answer is as many as possible, really, because the truth is that more lead magnets equals more leads. It makes sense. In fact, HubSpot did some research and they found that the number of leads generated increased by 450% when websites increased the number of opt-in forms from 1 up to 40. So yeah, like an increase in leads of 450%, that's great. Like, that is brilliant. But there is other benefits to having multiple lead magnets as well. Let's take a wee look at those. So for example, lead magnets do a really great job of helping you to speak to different customer personas. So unless your business only caters to one type of customer, and that's pretty rare in this day and age, you're probably dealing with multiple needs from a variety of different customer personas. So you could create like a generic lead magnet to appeal to every type of customer who uses your product or service. But to be honest, in my experience, when you try to appeal to everyone, you end up appealing to no one. So like, it's much better if you can speak to people about specific problems they're experiencing instead of just speaking to them in general terms. People will respond to that better. And the best thing is, like, once you start offering multiple lead magnets about different problems, you'll notice that your prospects will naturally sort of filter themselves based on the lead magnets offer. So we saw this in Amy's example. When she offered lead magnets that helped people solve different problems, this allowed Amy to know what her readers were most interested in. And once she knows that, she can send them suitable information about the products and services that they're more likely to be interested in. So everyone's a winner there, really. Like, Amy knows a little bit more about her prospective customers, and the prospective customers are getting information that's tailored to their needs. And that really works. Like, if you send emails that people are genuinely interested in, then you can nurture them more effectively. And in the long run, these people are more likely to become customers. But the most important reason, I think, for creating multiple lead magnets is that you can promote them in so many different places. Lead magnets don't just have to be presented on your website, but you can place them all over the internet, really, which is of course going to help you to ensure that you generate even more leads over time. So yeah, there's no shortage of places to promote your lead magnets. Now, I've spent a bit of time telling you why you need to create lots of lead magnets. So if it seems like I've just dumped like a lot of extra work on your plate, please do not freak out. It's not as bad as it sounds. In fact, Beacon can help to simplify the whole process. So remember at the start when I told you that I like to keep things simple? Like we're sticking with that theme. So I'm going to show you a few shortcuts in Beacon that will help you to create dozens of lead magnets in really no time at all. So let's just jump into Beacon so we can do that. Okay, so you should now be able to see my screen. I'm currently in the Beacon editor. I've loaded up this Beacon template already. I think this template is called Business Time. Looks very, very formal. We've got people in suits sort of doing paperwork on the front cover. So let's just take a quick look through it. So this is the front cover of the lead magnet. So it has this orange bar, has a document title and like a sample logo here. The next page is a table of contents page. It has this sort of orange background with a photo behind it. Again, it's sort of a business themed photo. Next page is, fairly standard introduction. We've got the orange headline, the orange signature at the bottom, and some dummy text in between. There's an about the author page, which I always think about the author pages are, I would recommend including them in most lead magnets. Just to give people a bit of context about who created the lead magnet. You can help to build your credibility just by adding this page in. Again, it has the orange headline. We've got a chapter separator page. Like if you've got a big lead magnet, you're going to want to include multiple chapters. Again, it's got this orange color and the business themed photo behind it. And then finally, there's a call to action page. So call to actions are brilliant, by the way, for helping to lead people on to the next stage in the buying cycle. So like once you've built the trust with the lead magnet, like a call to action page at the end is the perfect time to sort of prompt people to take that next action. So it's perfect. But yeah, so if you pick this lead magnet template, like at first glance, you'd probably think like, right, I'm gonna have to customize a lot of things here. Like for one, like say if your brand color isn't orange, you're going to have to change, that strip, that background color, that headline and signature, that headline, that block of color, that strip. Like there's like 10 or 15 things that you're going to have to customize there. And I think the mistake that most people make in Beacon is thinking that they're going to have to go through and customize each one of these elements individually, go into it, click on it, open up the color picker and pick a new color. But really there's a shortcut there that means that you only have to do this once. So if I go over to the left hand side, you'll notice that this button here is for document settings. So if I click document settings, you'll see that underneath the default styles section, there's these template colors. So these are the colors that are used throughout the template. So if I change any one of these colors, then it will update the color on the page. But more than that, let's see if we just cycle through, it'll update everywhere that color has been used in the entire document. So you'll notice that this headline is actually, it's still orange, and that's because that uses template color 4. So if I change that to, let me actually just get the same color value from template color 2. That updates the text there, so you can see it's now blue. If I go to this page, we can see that the headline is blue, the signature is blue, the background of this page is blue, and the strip on the cover page is blue. So again, just to reiterate like why this tip is important, I think it probably would have taken like 20 minutes or so just to change the colors of each of these individual elements one at a time. So already, just by using this template colors trick, we've been able to save ourselves, 20 minutes a time. Like 20 minutes is far too long for initial setup. So the next time that you load up a Beacon template, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to go to this 4th button down into document settings. I want you to open up the default styles, and I want you to put in your own brand colors. So if you know your exact brand color, you can just type it in. So I'll just do that and change the opacity down. Same for this one. Oh, CCAA. And you can make this other spare color sort of anything you want, but a yellow usually complements that green quite well. And that yellow isn't actually used anywhere in this document. It's just the green is the color. So you can see, like, again, just with those changes, I've been able to update, 8 pages in this ebook, like in 5 seconds instead of 20 minutes. So that is your first time-saving tip. Update the template colors via the document settings to get your brand feel across through colors in the document. All right, so let's just save my progress there. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is I want to show you how you can convert a single page into a template so that you can essentially build up a content library of your own template, of your own content. So a good example for this is, the About the Author page. So as I said, I would recommend that you include an About the Author page in every lead magnet that you create to help build your credibility. Now, if you're in a company of one, then you're obviously only going to need one About the Author page. But if you have, a team of 5 or 6 people who might be making your lead magnets, then you'll want to, you don't want to have to type in the content manually every time that you create a lead magnet for a different team member. Instead, we're going to create a template for each team member so that we can just slot them into any document. So let's customize this really quick. Let's call this let's say this author is called About Laura. We've got a photo of her there. I'm also just going to add in some, quick summary text. Laura is our head of social marketing. She loves all things digital. I'll just increase that font size. I like to do, whenever I have like a introduction text, I like to make it slightly bigger than the main paragraph text, just to make it stand out a little bit more. So that is the quick introduction. Then you would use this space on the right hand side for like more detailed background info about, I don't know, school, education, hobbies, experiences. Basically, it's, anything that builds credibility you want to put in here. So I'm not going to bore you by typing out too much here. So that's probably enough just to give you an idea of how that page would look. Also, I think it would be a good idea on an About the Author page to put in like some contact details for like say social media links for this individual author. So let's do that by pulling a strip onto the page. I'm going to give this strip a background color, and I'm just going to pick that from, do you remember our template colors? They appear at the bottom, so I'm going to choose template color 4 for that. Then I'm going to pull in a headline, and I'm going to pull in some text. Just change the color of that. Oh, sorry, I should be using the template color at the bottom, the white. Close this, change the text. So I'm going quite fast here because I want to show you the sort of individual features rather than everything. And I'll just put in social media link, I don't know, Instagram link, Twitter link, and I'll change my text color and I'll just hit save. All right, so that is like a fairly basic About the Author page. Like that's taken me, a couple of minutes to make that page, and I've only put in dummy content, like I haven't put in real content. Now, say if Laura creates this lead magnet, that's fine, then her About page is set up. But what if she has to create, 4 or 5 different lead magnets later this month? Is she going to have to go through this same process of adding in all this detail, like customizing this page every time? That's dead time. It's a waste of time. So instead, what we would recommend doing is converting this page into a reusable template. So if I go over to the page settings, which is the third option down on the left hand side, you'll notice that this yellow button, convert this page into a template. So if I click convert, I'll then be able to add in or add a name for this template. So let's just do About the Author Laura. So you can see I've already got a template set up for myself, but I'm just going to call this one About the Author Laura. So when I save that, you can see our template has been created. So if I close this, just save my progress, and I'm going to refresh the browser window. You'll notice now, so say if we created a new lead magnet and we wanted to add a new page, so I'll click Create Add New Page. And if I scroll to the very bottom of this list, you'll see that there's another page that's been added about the author Laura, and this is the page template that we've just created. So as you can see, like, it keeps all the brand colors, all the styling, everything, all the formatting that we did previously. I can now add this page to any document. So again, that's the second time-saving tip, and that's to set yourself up with a reusable content library. So any pages that you think that might be required in more than one lead magnet, you should convert that page into a template. So things like about the author, about our company, maybe even call to action pages. Those are the things that you should convert into page templates so you can slot them into future lead magnets to save you even more time. So far we've shown you how to quickly customize the colors across an entire document and how to create page templates so you can build up a reusable content library. The final thing that I want to show you how to do is how to create your own reusable document template. So let's say, like, I've spent the past sort of half an hour or so telling you why you should create more lead magnets for your business. And that definitely sounds like a lot of work. But what you want to do is create yourself basically a flexible, reusable template that you create it once, and then you can just customize it for future lead magnets. So let's show you how to do that. So basically, you look at your pages down the left-hand side, and you think, right, what pages am I going to need in a future lead magnet? So like, I'll definitely need a cover page. I probably won't need a table of contents in every lead magnet I create. Like, a table of contents is good for long lead magnets like an ebook, but I don't think I'm not going to need that in every lead magnet. So let's delete that. I think you should have an introduction in every lead magnet. You should have an about the author page. Again, you're not going to need a chapter separator in every lead magnet, because, like, unless you're doing an ebook every time. So let's delete that. I think that you should have a call to action in every lead magnet for sure. So let's leave that in. We've already got about the author, so let's just delete that second one. All right, so you can see now on the left hand side, we've got basically 4 pages that are going to form like the shell of all our future lead magnets. So like, once I convert this document into a template, you'll see how that works. So on the left hand side, again, we're going to go to the last option. It's document settings, and this button at the bottom, convert this document into a template. Let's just click convert. And then we want to give our template a name. So I'm going to call this just, I don't know, company template, we'll call it. I click save. And we can close this. So I'm going to save that again there. So now when I go, say if I go back to the Beacon dashboard and say, so we've created our first lead magnet, and say like a week from now I want to create another lead magnet. So I log into my Beacon account, I click the create new button. It gives you the choice of which type of lead magnet you want to make. In this case, because we're using our personal template, it doesn't matter. So just pick any one of these. I choose checklist, and I'm not going to import content for now. So this is the choose template screen. So if I scroll down to the very bottom, you'll see that this new option has been added, company template. So that's the template we just made. I'm going to select that. and you can see that it loads up all the pages, like the cover page, introduction page, about the author, and then the call to action. So say if I wanted to make like a checklist lead magnet, basically I've loaded up this shell. Now I'm just going to add a new page. I'm going to filter by checklist pages, and I'm going to just slot that into our document shell, our template shell. So you can see that our page has been added, and it uses like the brand colors that we set up. Like it's got the green at the top for the headline, and it's got the yellow brand color that I set up to go with that. So all of a sudden we have like a brand new lead magnet. This one's a checklist. So let me just reorder the pages. But you're probably thinking that, all right, like you've added in a checklist page, but it looks exactly the same as basically the other lead magnet that we created. But that's the benefit of these templates, is that they're really easy to change, like these background images, and make your lead magnet look completely fresh. So let's just do that. Let's change these background images. So this whole document, like it looks like, I don't know, it was made for some sort of like business use case. Like it's very formal, like lots of suits and paperwork and things like that. But if we change these background images, we can completely like change like the tone of this design. So let's do that. I'm going to click on the page to get to the page settings, and I'm just going to select a different background image. So let me see, let's go for this one. So look at that, like we've completely changed like the tone and the look and the feel of this lead magnet just by changing the background image essentially. And that's a tip that I would definitely recommend using for your future lead magnets. Choose a lead magnet with imagery in it, and it doesn't matter what that image is. Like if you're like working in childcare and you pick like a corporate businessy template, you can really make it your own just by customizing the background images. So let's see that again with the final background page. Let's try this one. And then let's just move this a bit. So that's the beauty as well with these templates, is that they are flexible. So if you have to move the arrangement of something to make it work better with a certain image, like feel free to do that. Like so all of a sudden, like this lead magnet went from something that looked, really corporate, really stuffy, really boring, to something that could work for, like any sort of like a school or any sort of business that deals with children or family or anything like that. So don't be afraid to mix up the stock photography in your lead magnets. And actually, I would also say that some people seem really intent on like always keeping the same color scheme for every lead magnet that they create. Like that's something that we don't do at all. Like if you look at any lead magnets that we create at Beacon, they all look completely different. Like yes, they all have our logo in them. They all have like a call to action that links to our website. But in terms of the visual look and feel of the lead magnet, it looks completely different. So if you've created your document shell, like your template, your reusable template, feel free to mix up the colors every time you create a new version of that template. It doesn't always have to be the same. So again, like quick changes can really change like the look and feel of your document. And all of a sudden, like you've got a completely new lead magnet, but it only took you like a couple of minutes instead of a couple of hours. So you've taken a bit of a shortcut there really, and your future self will absolutely thank you. So I think that's probably my last time-saving tip. So let's jump back into my slides really quick. All right, so those are the shortcuts that I use pretty much every day. And I create a lot of lead magnets. Without these techniques, to be honest with you, I'd be completely lost. So just to recap, I showed you how to set up the brand colors so you don't have to keep customizing those individual elements. I showed you how to create a reusable content library so you can combine pages from different lead magnets. And I showed you how to create a reusable template so you can just slot pages into a shell instead of having to start from scratch every time. So I should mention at this stage that some of the features that I showed you, like, they are premium features. So these two features in particular aren't available in free Beacon accounts. So if you want to be able to convert pages into templates, or if you want to convert documents into templates, then you're going to need to upgrade to one of our paid accounts. And if you're wondering how much time these features will actually save, this quote is from one of our customers. Emil heads up marketing at a software company called Sleeknote. Now they create lead magnets every week to help grow their business. And because they use Beacon's premium features, it saves them about 60 or 70 hours over the course of a year. Now, that's a lot of time saved, but it's also a lot of money saved if you think about it. So the cheapest Beacon premium account is $49 per month, and that saves Emil and his team about 12 hours of work every month. So if you think about how valuable your own time is, or the time of your team members, $49 makes a lot of sense. Like, imagine being able to pay a professional $49 for 12 hours of their time. Like, it just wouldn't happen. So using a tool like Beacon helps Sleeknote to free up their time for other tasks. And I think, like, these days as marketers, we're spread so thin that we need to work just a bit smarter. And Beacon, is definitely the sort of tool that helps people to do that. If you are on the fence about upgrading your Beacon account, I did promise some exclusive bonuses at the beginning of the session. So if you do upgrade to one of our paid accounts within the next 24 hours, we're going to throw in these extra bonuses. Firstly, we've put together an exclusive lead magnet learning pack, which is essentially a folder containing 19 lead magnets that we have used over the years to generate more leads for our business. So this learning pack should help to give you some inspiration about the types of lead magnet that you could create for your business. And since these lead magnets were all created with Beacon, they should also give you some inspiration for the design and the formatting of your own lead magnets. So actually, let me just show you the pack itself really quickly. So if I close this. Yeah, so this is the learning pack. So it contains 19 different PDFs, essentially. They've all been designed within Beacon, and they're all loosely around the themes of lead generation and lead magnets. So we've got this one, 5 lead magnets that are worth downloading, 8 tips for creating a winning lead magnet. There's 19 of them in here. So they should give you some inspiration in terms of design. It should help you to improve your own lead magnet strategy. And it should give you a little bit more inspiration for formatting and things like that too. So yeah, like, when I speak to people who are new to the whole lead magnet strategy, like, a lot of them tell me that they just don't know where to start. So that's why we put this pack together. Like, it should give you some ideas that you can apply to your own business. And as another bonus, if you upgrade to a paid Beacon account, you'll get this exclusive interview. So this was great. We sat down with Laura Roeder. Now, Laura is the founder of a software company called Edgar, which is a social media scheduling product. And in this interview, Laura shares with us the exact tactics and strategies that helped her generate more leads, which has in turn helped her to grow Edgar into a business that does more than $4 million a year in revenue. So, like, Laura is by far one of the smartest marketers out there, and it was an absolute privilege to hear how she works. So you don't want to miss this one. And last but not least, if you upgrade to a premium Beacon account, I will personally design a reusable lead magnet template for your business. So remember when I showed you all those time-saving tricks inside Beacon? Like, if you upgrade to a paid Beacon account, I will take care of all of that for you. All that setup, all that tweaking, all that design, I will do that for you personally. So we'll start the process by having like a proper design consultation over Skype so I can learn a bit more about your business, what the goals are for growing your business and who your target audience is. After that, I'll go away and I'll design a template based on what you've told me. I'll put together a few different options so you have a chance to input your ideas and suggestions. We usually do between 2 and 3 rounds of feedback and iterations. And once you're happy with that, I'll set up the template in your account so you or your team members can use it whenever you need it. Now this will probably take like a few days of my time, which back in the day when we had the design agency, we would have billed this service at about $1,000. But you'll be getting all that time, all that expertise for free when you upgrade to a paid Beacon account. So just to recap, if you upgrade to a paid Beacon account in the next 24 hours, you'll get the Lead Magnet Learning Pack. So that's 19 high quality lead magnets that you can use for inspiration. You'll get the interview with Laura Roeder, where she shares the lead generation techniques that helped her to grow a 7-figure business. And of course, you'll get the custom template design, where I'll personally design a reusable lead magnet template that is unique to your business. So all those bonuses, they're nice, but the real value you'll get from a premium Beacon account is more leads. So this quote is from another Beacon customer. This is Heather Townsend, and she sums it up perfectly. When Heather uses Beacon to create lead magnets for her blog, conversion rates triple. That means that her blogging strategy is 3 times more effective than it used to be. She's generating 3 times more leads for her business, and that's what this is all about. So if you're ready to double or even triple the number of leads that you generate, then head on over to this web address. And once you upgrade, you'll get an email with the Lead Magnet Learning Pack, with the Laura Roeder interview, and you'll also get a link to book a slot on my calendar for your design consultation. So the promotion is only available to participants of this webinar, so please don't share that URL with anyone else. It's just for you guys. So I'll leave that address up there for a little while longer. Give me a chance to catch my breath and take a drink of water. All right. I'm just about talked out at this stage, I have to admit. So remember though, if you have any questions about anything that we've talked about today, just put them in the questions box on the right hand side, and I'll answer every single one of them via email. So if you have questions about the lead magnet strategy, or about how Beacon works, or about the exclusive bonuses, just let me know on the right hand side in that questions panel, and I'll get back to you. I promise I'll get back to you with an answer via email. So for now though, we're just about out of time, and I don't want to keep anyone late. So I just want to take this opportunity to thank you all for spending the past hour with me. I've had a lot of fun. I hope you've learned something that you can apply to your business today. So again, thank you so much for joining me today. That's me for now. Bye.